We're still under the lead generation and sales mastery, the module 7. Now, we're going to be talking about closing techniques. How do you close? Most people are very good with every other process, the getting of the leads, the follow up, the prospecting, but they don't know how to now ask for the money. If you don't know how to close a client, if you don't know how to make a client pay today instead of paying in a week, some people know how to link that transactions. I've had realtors come to the office with deals with their clients, and the client that is meant to pay that day, but because of the way they are handling it, I don't know if they are scared. I don't know. I don't just know the right word to put it. That transaction end up taking 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, some even 1 week before it can close. Trust me, I've closed even a house deal within 24 hours. A totally new client, a house deal, property of over 100 million naira, over 24 hours. So there is no amount of deal you cannot close immediately. So if you learn how to close, you're going to be hitting transaction like this, and that's what I'm about to teach you now. So first of all, let's talk about a closing technique. Now, closing is not a moment. Closing is actually the natural end of a well-guided conversation. Do you get? Every other thing leads to closing. You should know that your prospecting, you should know that your follow-up, your getting of lead is pointing towards one thing. When are you going to make these clients pay? Even the good morning you tell your client is so that the client will pay. The good afternoon, the greeting, the follow-up, it is pointing towards closing. Now, let me reset your mindset a little bit about closing. Now, closing is not you begging. It is not you forcing your client to pay. It is not you saying, "Oh yeah, now, sir, please pay. Sir, when are you going to pay? Sir, this or no." Closing is actually you helping the client make a decision and help them make the decision immediately. Because one thing about human being is that whenever if human beings are indecisive in nature. If I know that I can make the decision I'm about to make now, if I know that I still have, next the whole 1 year to make the decision, I'll stay the whole 1 year. Why will I make it today? Human beings love procrastination. You watching this video, you love procrastination. There are times that you want to buy something, but you just think, no, don't worry, I'll not buy it now, let me go tomorrow. And you end up using that money for another thing. So just know that if that client doesn't pay today or he doesn't pay tomorrow, that the probability of him using that money to buy another thing is very, very high. It's better you tie that client by making him pay. Now, so closing is you helping the client to make a decision. They might like this property, everything they want to pay, but if they don't make that decision immediately, they'll use that money for something else. And it's not as if the property is bad. It's just that they were indecisive and you were not a good closer. Now, what is the number one rule of closing? The number one rule of closing is that build trust before you sell. Before you ask for payment, before you ask for money, observe and be sure that the client is no longer afraid, is no longer uncertain. Once the client has trusted you and you feel that this client is not comfortable with you, the next thing you should do is ask for payment immediately. If the client is still doubting you, doubting your authenticity, the worst thing you can do is to go and tell them to pay or start asking that one. They're just worsening the situation. That is why the beginning time or the prospecting and the follow-up, we talked about building trust and everything. That is what you want to focus on. Once the client is now comfortable with you, don't hesitate closing. Even me, when I was starting, I made this mistake. I had clients that loved me. In fact, me and them used to talk for 3 hours. They were very comfortable, but I was delaying closing. And they end up buying properties from somebody else, which might even be somewhere that they don't even have that kind of. So once the client is already comfortable, trusts you, don't hesitate closing. Now, some clients will call me for the first time, but I know that this client has already trusted me because of maybe they've been following me on social media for a while. They already know this kind of people. Once I already sense it, the next thing I'm trying to make is for you to make payment because I already know you're already ready. I don't try to hesitate. So the number one rule of closing is that once you know this person already trusts you, this person is already comfortable with you, close immediately. Alright, so I'm going to be telling you right now about the 7 most effective closing techniques. Now, if you can know 3 of these closing techniques very, very powerfully, you will know how to ask for the money to get. Now, the number 1 is the assumptive close. I like this one so much. That's why it's number 1. I love this one. This one now is you telling the person, is you now handling the conversation in a way as if this person is already buying or ready to pay. So let's say I'm talking with the client now. The next thing I'm already saying is, okay, maybe the person is asking me and said, the person maybe I already know this client is already comfortable, but maybe he now ask me like, okay, is 10 million naira the final price? I'll tell them, yes, sir, 10 million naira is actually the final price. Or they can even ask me, like, okay, should the price is 10 million naira, right? I'll be like, yes, the price is 10 million naira. Then I'll do a follow up question. I'll ask them, like, okay, but sir, would you prefer a 3 month payment plan or you want to pay outright? They'll be like, no, 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 I'm paying outright. I'll be like, okay. Sometimes what I also do, I also now add this one with the ninja technique. Ninja technique is me trying, I'll do as if I didn't hear. I'll be like, maybe when they ask me the price, I'll be like, okay, sir, it's actually 10 million naira, but sir, will you be paying outright or you'll be paying instrumentally for 3 months? They'll be like, I'll be paying outright. I'll pause. Then I'll be like, sorry, I didn't get that, sir. I'll be like, I'll be paying outright, I'll be paying outright. I might even have them reaffirm it like 3 times. Now, we're still coming to this one is another technique on its own. Because when people tend to affirm something or say this thing, you understand, it also builds conviction and also make them committed to it. Do you get? So now, over the phone or text or face to face, do you get? It's just you now assuming. Now this person is just asking me the price. Yeah, he has not asked me. What do you mean? I'm not asking him as if he wants to pay now. So would you like to pay or would you prefer? I can even ask something like, okay, how many plots would you like to go for, sir? How many plots are you considering? Person will be like one. Oh, sir, why one? Why not two? Why not? Why no more than one? At least in the future, if it appreciates, you can sell the extra and keep the remaining. This is the assumptive close. You are assuming as if that person has made the transaction or is about to make the transaction. Very powerful. Number two is the summary close. Now, the summary close is you just, summarizing, you just restate the value of that property very, very briefly. All right, so sir, this property is actually elite estate, and so sir, actually, you're actually interested in, you picked an interest in elite estate at Ipagwan, UK, and you picked an interest, you selected plot 201, and you said you're going to go for a 3 month payment plan. You make an initial deposit of 5 million naira. All right, sir. So I'll be sending you the account details right now so you can make the deposit. Is that fine? Now, this is a summary close. The conversation is stated the plot number you needed. It stated how many months wanted to pay. Many has discussed the location and everything. Now, I'll now summarize all those things and now ask for the payment. Beautiful. We now have the soft close. Now, the soft close is not saying, are you going to buy now? I can say something like, should I reserve the plot for you? You're like, yes. Okay, sir. I'll send you the layout plan. Once you select a plot, I'll send you the application form. Once you fill the application form, then I'll send you the account details so you secure or reserve a plot by making a 40% deposit. Is that okay, sir? All right, let's get to it. I'll be like, okay, I'm sending you the layout plan right away. Once I send you the layout plan, I'll send you the corner plots. Then I'll follow up on you till you pick a plot. Once you pick a plot, I'll now send you the application form or the letter of application of interest. Once you fill the application of interest, then I'll now send you the account details, send you how much your 40% is. Once you make the payment, we'll send you a receipt and you've reserved that plot. Beautiful follow-up. Very sequential. One thing leads to one. Now, I'm still going to come to this, but when you get, there's hierarchy in terms of closing. If I can close you on choosing a plot and close you on filling an application form, I can definitely close you on making a payment. So I want you to say yes to this small one, then you go to the bigger one, then you go to the biggest one. It's just all about buyer psychology. That's why you're a salesman. It's not as if you are being tricky, but this is just sales. Now, we now have the payment plan close. And the payment plan close is very, very key, especially when you're selling houses, because houses are very expensive. It's not very, very vital in land, though it's vital in some land. But when you're selling houses, especially these houses are running to 200 million, 300 million, 500 million, a billion, that the clients might not have all the money at once, but maybe they have a substantial amount they can pay once. They would like to pay the remaining they would like to use the other one, pay the other one instrumentally. So you should be able to know how to use the payment plan to close. You can say something like, because in Nigeria, most things like is a capital market. You need to have your money at hand. But you can close the client like, okay, sir, just the 40% deposit, you can actually secure this home, and you spread the balance within a so and so month. So, should I send you the application form so you fill it and get started on that? Now, the person is already sure that, okay, there's a payment plan available and you can just make a deposit. Or sometimes you can tell something. Well, another way I use payment plan is maybe the person wants to go and do some research or something. Say, okay, sir, this property is actually in high demand. A lot of people interested in it. I'll advise you just tie down this property with a 20%, or even if it's just a 10% of the amount while you go ahead with your search. At least it will keep this property for you for like a period of 1 to 2 weeks, so you don't miss out on this. This is actually a very good offer. So now you want them to pay in something while they carry on. In fact, this one is very, very good. I know a lot of clients, people that does this, especially if you want to buy land that is in sight, that is very, very scarce and is in high demand. If you say you want to waste time, somebody else will buy it. So, but if you can just pay in something like 10% or 15% or 40% of the land amount while you go ahead with your search, at least you've made that client interested in that property. This is one thing that most realtors don't know how to do. When you see that a realtor, especially when the client is now taking time to do their search, make sure you tell them to deposit something, even if it's just 20%, let them deposit it so that they will not end up not buying that property. Because some of them now, in their search now, they'll find out the property is good, but they will now start looking for other properties to get. It's not as if your property is not genuine, but you just find it has happened several times, talking from experience. So the fear removal clause. Now the fear removal clause is now you trying not to pressure the client. You actually want the client to feel, grounded and feel welcome and feel relaxed. So you can tell them you don't have to make payment today. Why not you send somebody, why not you come over for an inspection while we view this property and you confirm the documents. You see these documents I'm talking about on ground before you now go ahead to make a decision. How does that sound? Okay, that's fine. All right, sir. Then you follow up. When would you be available for the inspection? Tomorrow is actually fine by me. First will be like, okay, tomorrow is fine by me. Okay, let's do it in the evening. Don't just tell them that why not you come and do inspection and they say okay and you say okay and you don't conclude. No, make sure you leave it to conclusion. So once this concludes, you say okay, all right, I'll call you tomorrow morning to remind you about the inspection. All right, that's fine. Do have a nice day, sir. Looking forward to making you a landlord. Thank you. Beautiful. The fear removal clause. I love this one too. Now the scarcity clause. The scarcity clause is something in fact, I just love all this, these are things that, I use very, very well and, I get the results. So this particular place now you don't have to lie, but there are some estates that are actually scarce. Now, there's a way I use scarcity clause. Sometimes I create the scarcity. Now, it's not as if I'm trying to be manipulative, but it's just that, like I said earlier while starting, human beings, if you don't give them this, if you don't bring that scarcity, that if you give them this notion that they can waste time, they'll end up not paying. It's not as if what is bad, but they will procrastinate, and they will end up not making any payment. But you want them to pay immediately. So one thing you can do is that I try to make them select the plot. Once I select the plot, I say, okay, this plot, I feel a corner plot of land, usually in high demand in every estate. So, sir, you cannot just reserve this corner piece when there are still other people that are coming for it. So if you don't make payment between the next 24 hours or the next 48 hours, that is the max I can do, then just know that somebody else is going to pay for this. And the benefit of having a corner plot, you will not be having that benefit. So I'll advise you, sir, that you make a deposit between, at least, even if it's just a 40%, to secure this particular plot you've selected. Now I've created a scarcity. Now that estate might have available plot of up to like 100, but now I've just created a scarcity to just the few corner plot is selected. This way now, you will no longer waste time. You will now want to pay. Do you get? So learn how to use scarcity to close. Then we now have the stakeholder close. And this particular one now is that is when the estate is about to be sold out. You now said, okay, this particular phase 1 or the phase 2 of this estate is almost sold out. Then we're going to bring out the phase 3. Now, once they find out this, nobody wants to go to the phase. Everybody wants to be in the phase 2. Everybody wants to be in the phase 1. Do you get? It's just like in secondary school, I have JS1B, JS1A. Everybody wants to be in A. Nobody wants to go in B. So once let them know that there's also another phase, that this phase is almost sold out, but they're bringing out another phase. This way, they'll hurry up and they want to pay. So the stakeholder close, very, very important. You understand? So now, the next thing I want to tell you now is the micro commitment ladder. The micro commitment ladder. Now, this is a principle. Now, this one is not a closing technique, or we're done with all the closing techniques, but this one is also another closing technique that you need to know too. This one is actually a skill, a hack. Now, the principle is that people are more likely to say yes to a big decision after saying yes to a small one. Now, this thing comes from the book. If you've read Behavioral Psychology by Robert Cardini, you're going to come across this. When people are likely to say yes to a big decision, when they have said yes to a small one, if they can say yes to choosing a particular plot, say yes to filling the form, they can say yes to now making payments. But imagine jumping all these steps and just going for the payment once, bam. It's going to be hard. That's why before me, I tried to make them select a plot. I tried to make them fill the form. Now they've done this process. They've said yes to this. They've climbed. Now payment is not going to sound abstract to them. But if you're just coming out of anywhere to just tell them to make payments without doing, but if they go for inspection, you understand what I'm saying. So that's it. So the next thing is now another way I also do it is I also ask questions. I say, does this location work for you? They say yes. The documentation checks out. Would this be something you consider? To say yes. Would you prefer an outright or a payment plan? To tell me I prefer this. You get. So it's just a commitment ladder. So now getting validation. Now this one is now what I said is a ninja technique. It's just you pretending you didn't hear them over a call until they say it 3 times. This one works very well over the call. Maybe they say, I'll make a payment for this. So pretend as if you didn't hear it like 3 times till they make a commitment 3 times. Is you getting validation, you get. Now, and that's not about closing, is that you must know when to stop talking. Now, silence is a tool when it comes to closing. Don't be the one doing all the talking. Know when to give the pause. Whenever there's a pause in the room, don't try to fill the silence. Don't try to fill the silence. Like when I'm not talking and he's not talking, and we just keep quiet. Don't always be the one to break it. It shows you lack confidence. It shows you are needy. Just calm. Do you get? Once you present the price and you're done, make sure you stop talking. Try to maintain eye contact. Not that you'll be looking, but to maintain eye contact, move your eyes like normal. Let them think. Do you understand? Observe their body language so that you know how next you can come. Listen. So silence is a very good tool. Most people, they lose out on deal not because of they are not good, but they overtalk. You're not selling shoes that you just need to be talking. No. When you talk, you have to pause, observe. It shows confidence. It shows like that you are confident in what you're doing. You get. Now, and the last thing I'm going to be talking to you about is the closing question. Now, the closing question is known by almost every top closer. Now, when a client brings in an objection, for example, now you have done everything inspection, and then all of a sudden you just bring out one objection like, okay, I'm ready to pay payment, but I want a 4-month payment plan instead of a 3-month payment plan. What you have to do is that if this thing is sorted out, this is what I say. If this thing is sorted, how many plots would you go for? Or if I negotiate on your behalf and we get a 4-month payment plan, how many plots would you like to go for? Or if I should talk to the developer about this and we have a deal, when are you going to make payments so that I can use it to follow up on him? It's just like somebody telling you now that I want him to give me a discount of maybe 9.5 million instead of 10 million. All right, if he agrees to this, or if this is sorted out and this is accepted, when are you going to make a payment? Most people be like, I can pay today, I can pay tomorrow. This is called, the closing technique, closing question. If this is met, when will this happen? Or do we have a deal? I don't even like to say do we have a deal. How many plots would you go for? When would you make payments? Blah, 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 blah. So that is just it about closing. Now, this closing, make sure you watch this video over and over again. Watch this video repeatedly so that you get acquainted to how you can close, so that you don't lose out on any deal. If you don't know how to close, you just have many leads, but you don't know how to close. But if you know how to close, any lead that come your way will buy from you. Thank you, and see you on the next one.